Good morning. It is 9 o'clock on Thursday, June 1st, 2023. It's the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners meeting. Please be advised the agenda action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones and beepers in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. Board reserves the right to take items in a different order to accomplish business in the most efficient manner. Items may be combined for consideration. Items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Restrictions on comments by the general public. Any such restrictions must be reasonable and may restrict the time, place, and manner of the comments, but may not restrict comments based upon viewpoint. Board of County Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serves as a liquor board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. And this meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. Roll call. I have all 5 commissioners in chambers. Today's invocation will be given by Irene Albritton of First Christian Church. Please stand.
You have to unmute her.
It won't let me.
You're the
Am
other.
I unmuted? Okay, I think. Thank you. Good morning. Good to be with y'all. Let us pray. Gracious God, thank you for the gift of this day and for your gifts of intellect, insight, and compassion that empower us for meaningful work. We ask your blessing on these gathered to work this morning at Lyon County and on the leadership they provide in the governance of this county. Guide them in the work before them, keeping them connected to you and to the people they represent and serve. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First, public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record. Will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action afterwards, please print your name at the clerk's desk at the podium. State your name for the record, please. Do we have any public participation at this time? See anything in the chamber? Not see anything on Zoom. So we will move on. For possible action, review and adoption of the agenda item 5. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Henderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Hendricks seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Public comment.
Public comment. Anybody need to insert anything on the agenda or change it? Thank you for catching that, Wes. Seem to miss that every time.
Just on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a 5-0 to continue with the agenda as written. We do have several time certains today, the first one being 6A. And that is the public hearing again on bill number 23-02 and also possible action to approve an ordinance amending Lyon County Code Title 15, Lyon County Land Use and Development Code, Table 15.320-1 and Table 15.320-2, Table 15.320-3, Table 15.320-4, identifying which zoning districts allow restricted gaming and non-restricted gaming when an ADR is required and when a CUP is or is not required for the restricted or non-restricted gaming and other matters properly related thereto. So first, we would reopen the public hearing, which will continue. Does anybody have any comments based on our public hearing requirements? If not, I will close the public hearing for bill number 23-02 and move on for possible action of approving the ordinance. And we have Mr. Carriola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Louis Carriola, Community Development Director. We made a presentation at your last meeting proposing these changes to the land use tables. The reason being the original implementation of restricted and non-restricted gaming uses was inappropriately published. Those uses were reversed in the code tables. The proposal included a full presentation, and we can pull that up again if you have any other questions or need more details about the proposed ordinance change. Otherwise, I'm available for questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Public, any questions from the public on this ordinance change? It seems pretty straightforward. We have a motion for item 6A. I have Commissioner Keller.
I move to approve an ordinance amending Lyon County Code Title 15, the Lyon County Land Use and Development Code, Table 15, period 320-1, Table 15-320-2, Table 15-320-3, and Table 15-320-4. Identifying which zoning districts allow restricted gaming and non-restricted gaming when an ADR is required and when a CUP is or is not required for the restricted or non-restricted gaming and other matters related thereto.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Keller and a second by Commissioner Henderson. We didn't have any other comment from anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Carriola.
Did we do public comment on that or?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. No, keep me honest there.
No, I
Okay.
had a brain lapse there. I apologize, Chair.
That's right. I have a lot of them. So. All right. So our next item for time certain was 9:15 and we aren't there yet. So we are going to go ahead and move forward to, we need to go to item 7, presentation of awards and a recognition of accomplishments. Do we have any presentations of awards?
None today.
Don't see any. Okay. Move to commissioner comments for the next 7 or so minutes. Anybody have any comments? We'll start with Commissioner Hendricks.
I attended the Lyon County School Board meeting, the NACO Public Lands meeting, the Sutro Tunnel event, Memorial Day at Dayton Cemetery. Visited Mason Valley a couple of times to see how the flooding is working out. Attended the Silver Springs Drainage Master Plan panel meeting and public meeting, and the Silver Springs 8th grade graduation.
Very busy.
Yep.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I also attended the NACO Public Lands Steering Committee and also the National Association of Counties Public Land Steering Committee. Went to the meeting of the Dayton Valley Conservation District the other night. I'm meeting with Mr. Hawley, the director of the district, to get a tour and learn more about what they're doing and the projects they have going on. And I was honored to be the speaker at the Memorial Day ceremony at the Dayton Cemetery. And Commissioner Hendricks was there, as was the Lieutenant Governor, which was really nice to have him there. And that's really all I have. Thank you.
Go to Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockaday. Attended the Econ Summit for the majority of the Lyon County schools, and that was an enjoyable experience. I Want to thank the staff, Mr. Haskins, working through Memorial Day to control the flooding and do the parts. I know that I was at a basketball tournament on Saturday and got a call from Andrew, and he was hard at it. So I feel bad that county staff had to be away from their families, but I just want to give a shout out and thank them for their hard work and protecting Yerington. Got a call from a gal in Schurz that's getting concerned about flooding. I know that they may not necessarily be in Lyon County, but it is from the Sierras to Schurz that we are experiencing floods. So my heartfelt sentiments to those families impacted. And finally, I just want to congratulate all our Lyon County seniors and wish them well as they graduate. I believe some starting tonight through Saturday, and wish them well. And whether they go into the military, thank those kids going into that, heading off to college, wish them well. And those joining the workforce, welcome to it. And that's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Keller.
I attended the North Silver Springs Area Drainage Master Plan stakeholders meeting, and then also their general meeting. Attended the NACO Public Lands and Resources on May 25th. Mark Ona, with the state director of the USDA, gave a great presentation and brought up a lot of things that we should be looking out for, especially with the solar arrays that are going throughout BLM land. Attended the NACO legislative meetings on the 19th and 26th. I attended the Memorial Day celebration in Fernley, and it was a great ceremony. We had a record number of people attending that. There was 4,475 people that went through that gate. So it was quite an event. I attended the Silver Stage 8th grade graduation, where my grandson got the most improved student award for the year. So I was happy to see that. And then I also toured everything with the flooding with our county manager, and we got a lot in front of us. That's all.
Okay. We're getting close to 9:15. I'll just make a quick comment. I did attend the Smith Valley Memorial Day ceremony and did a lot of touring of flood areas, responding to a lot of different calls from people in District 5 on many different areas that were very concerning of the people as far as floods and other issues. So we will, I'll bring up some more commissioner comments at the end of today's agenda. But what we will do then, County Manager, if you wanted to take a couple of minutes here and give us an update.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager, for the record. Aaron's pulling up a presentation. Just this, I know that typically in my county manager update, I don't do a presentation, but I felt that the picture's worth 1,000 words for some of this. So I have been extremely busy with the flood issue on the Walker River and all the preparations that have been made along the banks of the river for the last couple of weeks. And so I just kind of wanted to show you some pictures of what's been done and talk a little bit about where we're at. And I will keep it brief. So this first picture here is over off of Goldfield. And you can see the orange material there is all new material that was brought in as a part of our emergency repairs there. And it's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but it's very clear when you're standing out there that the water is actually higher than town right there in that picture. And I really wanted to point that out, that if it weren't for these emergency repairs, there would very likely be about a foot of water here in town. And so, you know, I really want to express my gratitude to the teams that have been out there working on all of this. Not just county staff, but Perry and Sons. They have been doing a ton of work. They have had 8 trucks going, I think 12-hour days working on putting this this material in. And so I really want to express my gratitude to them for that. You can see here, this is a little bit further downstream or upstream, I should say. On the left was before any work was done. And then on the right was actually the next day. And you can see that the water is already up to the new material and above where it would have been if we hadn't done anything. So it's, again, I wanted to point this out. I think these two pictures side by side really kind of show paint a good picture of what has been done to keep the city of Yerington from flooding. You can see in the picture on the right and on the left, town in the background. So really, a lot of work has gone into the flood preparation. So we've also been having to deal with trees coming down, floating down the river that they fall in and get caught up on the bridges. So it's been quite a process trying to keep all the trees off of the river and get them pulled out with heavy equipment to make sure that they don't cause further issues. What happens is the trees get caught on the posts of the bridges, and then they cause water to back up further or cause damage to the bridges. So it's really important to make sure that we're keeping that off of there, those off of there. This is something, these are pictures I took yesterday, trying to install some new pipes to drain water towards the river out near Mason to try and take some pressure off. So they were able to get that project completed yesterday. It's hard to tell, but those are 4 foot in diameter pipe, so they're pretty good size. And the ditch there that it's relieving pressure off of is the Sprague ditch. So impressive. So we did get a bit of good news yesterday. We met with the Walker River Irrigation District and the River Forecast Center. Because the weather has been cooler than we had expected, they've been able to, the natural flows have been less upstream. And so they've been able to not have to store as much in the reservoirs. And so you'll probably remember from some of my previous presentations or Bert's previous presentations that they were expecting the safety siphons to kick on in Bridgeport. At least right now, the forecast is that won't happen. So that's really good news. That can change based on the weather. If we have, a heat spell that comes through, or we have thunderstorms that affect it upstream, that could change. But at least right now, the forecast is that wouldn't happen. Still going to have some pretty high flows, but that's some good news. Kind of a similar picture on the Topaz Reservoir, and that they're going to be able to store a little bit more later on and take off some of the peaks. So the flows on the main stem of the Walker River here through town, you'll remember, were originally projected to peak out at about 4,200, and now we're looking at 38 or 3,900, which is still a lot, but it is better. So we are hoping that this trend continues and that stays up. But we're not letting our guard down. We're continuing to shore stuff up. We did meet with the Army Corps of Engineers. They were out last week, and they made a bunch of recommendations. They put together a report, which I have. Based on that, there's some areas that they want us to build the berms a little bit higher. There's some riprap that they want us to put in, and so that's what we're working on at the moment. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions? And public have any questions for county manager? No? Okay. Well, we are past 9:15, so we have another time certain for possible action presentation on the National Center for Public Lands Counties from Jonathan Sheffield, Legislative Director for Public Lands at the National Association of Counties, and to approve or deny a request for one-time funding for the National Center for Public Lands Counties in the amount of $41,205 $1,012.49 to be transferred from contingency. So you have a report on that.
We got Mr.
Okay,
Sheffield.
he's on the screen.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today, Mr. Chairman and the members of the board. I want to say thank you to Commissioner Henderson for his efforts in setting this up, and also to Andrew Haskins on your staff for making all the arrangements for me. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I guess I don't have the ability to share my screen, but that's okay because these slides came to you a couple of weeks ago, so I hope they're in your information packet. So the National Center for Public Lands Counties, this really is a concept that's been coming about within NACO over the past year or so.
Jonathan, sorry to interrupt you. We'll make it so you can share your screen.
Okay, got it. Now it seems to work. Okay. All right, it looks like it's working. Thank you very much for that. So really, we've been having the discussion within NACO around, sharing the county story really around the public lands realm. I think that we do a great job of talking about the county role in issues relating to, criminal justice and healthcare and mental health and all of these other things that NACO does a really great job of telling the role in. And our advocacy work on policy issues has really been very effective, even in the public lands realm. Whenever it comes to getting Congress to extend various revenue sharing programs like Hilton Secure Rural Schools, or giving agencies more authority to expand the scope and scale of the work that they can do on federal lands and in areas like invasive species management and how counties can partner there. However, we need to do a better job of telling that story and why it's important for Congress to not just Congress, but the federal agencies to continue to build these partnerships to improve the land management situation and our resource management situation on the ground. And so what we've done is we've developed this idea called the National Center for Public Lands Counties. And this will be housed under the NACO Research Foundation and governed by, but also governed with the WIR and Public Lands Steering Committee leadership at NACO. But really what this will do is it'll serve as a research wing within NACO on public lands counties and the work that you do on the ground. Talking about the critical contributions that you make to sustainable resource management and evidence-based practices, talking about environmental regulations that you co-implement with the federal government, cross-boundary treatments on federal lands, the work that you do to promote tourism on federal lands, and all of those intergovernmental coordination and partnerships that really serve as a prime example of the work that you can do and really how the federal government can utilize the resources that counties bring to the table. This is about best practices, research, and understanding what works on the ground so that you can understand what works in a neighboring county that may not be working on your end. You could come to this national center and we'll have a document database, for example, and you can look at their RMP and how they've used that RMP to coordinate with their local BLM manager and be able to get tips on how to handle that process better on your end or vice versa. That's just one example. So we really want to weave that narrative together to talk about how public lands counties and your prosperity is really in the interest of the country and its prosperity. Another example of that would be to talk about how a wildfire in a rural area impacted a major water source for an urban area, and how that land management story is really imperative to the entire region and the watershed and really a state and the country as a whole. So this is going to be an essential resource for public lands counties to really share these stories amongst each other with your intergovernmental partners at the federal and state level. We see this as an opportunity also to share these stories with the media, think tanks, and other key influencers that can really help to drive this narrative and help to amplify this story that we can tell. And so surrounding this, I've talked quite a bit about the imperative and the need for it and the objectives that we have in mind is to enhance that understanding of our policymakers and influencers of the unique role that you play. Develop these case studies, host some public forums, hopefully in the future, even with some of these lawmakers at the federal level, with agency officials and the like, to really enhance and start discussing these issues. We want to foster these intergovernmental relationships and the dialogues that you have, and to really help to advance that and for other counties to be able to understand what's been successful within certain areas. And so in order to do this, we need to, we've set a fundraising goal of $15 million over the next 2 years. And the concept behind this is that we would invest this money and have it as a trust fund. And then the interest that develops off of that seed money would be what finances this effort on an annual basis for the long term. So as I said, a voluntary investment from counties directly through their state associations is the ask that we've made here. And our goal is $15 million over the next 2 years to build that staffing capacity, to conduct this research and keep this on a sustainable course over the long haul. So we've been asking our state associations and their executives to meet with their members to help us. And then, of course, I'm here to help to discuss in any kind of a way like I am here today with individual counties and with members to try to build on these discussions that you may have already had. I do want to emphasize that these funds will be managed under the 501c3 of the NACO Research Foundation and support WIR and public lands collaboration within the National Center. But they will not be used to advocate for partisan or policy ends. We're not going to use this to expressly advocate for built funding, forest management legislation, mining reforms, or anything like that. The point of this will be for you to be able to elevate the discussion and talk about what has worked on the ground, and to have that information at your disposal, and for other counties to have at their disposal. So we are going to use these funds to invest in a couple of hardworking and passionate and talented writers. We're also looking to have an individual that can run this on a day-to-day basis as sort of like an executive director role that can oversee the research and the work that's being done on a day-to-day basis. At this point, we have, as far as fundraising, this is what I've been informed of from a few of the states within WIR. First of all, we have 11 of the 15 in Arizona coming in at about $850,000. That number is actually a bit off. I think we're actually at more money. The last time I talked to their state exec a couple of weeks ago, they had 13 of 15 that had either pledged or paid in. Montana, similarly, this data is a couple of weeks old. The number's a bit higher, but as of 2 weeks ago, 2/3 of their counties. Nevada, we have had commitments from both Esmeralda and Humboldt counties. All of Utah, 21 counties in Washington state have already paid into their state association, and then 2 commitments from Wyoming and Park and Carbon counties. So we're just shy of $2.7 million as of about 2 weeks ago. I mentioned a bit about the governing board. We expect this to consist of the WIR Executive Committee, the Public Land Steering Committee Chair and Subcommittee Chairs, the NACO West Region Representative, the NACO Executive Director, the Executive Director from the WIR immediate past president's home state, and then myself as the NACO Public Lands Legislative Director to serve as a staff liaison to the governing board. We expect the governing board to meet with the staff at the Public Land Center on, probably a quarterly basis, including having regular updates during Public Lands and WIR monthly meetings. Also at the quarterly Public Lands and WIR steering committee meetings, and at the various NACO conferences. But we expect to have an annual report issued at the WIR conference each May, as well as for the Public Lands and WIR leadership to review those activities and have a performance plan approved by that leadership each year at the WIR conference. So with that, I'm going to pause and I'm happy to take questions if there's time for that. But before I do, one thing that I want to put out there is that really the thinking behind this, while it's come about for about the past year now, there are other organizations that are kind of getting a jump on activities like this. A good example of that is the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayor Bloomberg from New York, the ex-mayor, recently dropped about $50 million into a very similar effort to share these sorts of best practices, have trainings for mayors, their staffs, to have staff available for assistance with grant writing and that sort of technical assistance. So we don't have a billionaire benefactor like that. We have to rely on our members to try to put this sort of an effort together. And so that's why we're coming to you today and making this ask of you. We understand that your county and you plan your budgets well in advance, and that you're very careful with the funding and with taxpayer dollars, and we respect that, and we want you to understand that we will also be respectful of this resource and how it's utilized. But really the impetus of this is that we want to share these stories and improve the lot of public lands counties and their relationship with the federal government. And so with that, if there's time, if there's an appetite for it, I'm happy to take some questions. So thank you very much.
Questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Sheffield. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. So to kind of put this in a nutshell, this is to give us, like you said, we're good at telling stories, but we don't necessarily always have the facts or the science to back it up. Whereas the federal agencies have all kinds of scientists and facts and stuff. So part of this effort is for us to be able to document and improve the stories that we tell, correct? Oh, he's muted again.
Yes, that's correct. So I think an example of this would be, one issue that's been brought up by Jacob Brinkerhoff at the Nevada Association of Counties is how, each individual county will try to coordinate on these massive land management issues like the sage grouse. You all come with your various RMPs, and the RMPs are all great, and they have verifiable data and science in them that you can utilize in the coordination process, but it's on a county by county level. So it would be a lot better if you all had similar information regarding how you're coordinating, the information that you're sharing, the information that you have available within your RMPs, and to have that available in a one-stop shop so that you can gauge and have a better county by county, inter-county dialogue on these types of issues whenever you're approaching a federal agency. So that's one example of how this sort of data can really improve how you go to the federal government and work together on these issues.
Thank you. And one more, if I may, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
And this is a one-time contribution, right? You're going to set up a trust fund, and then it's not like the dues we paid at NACO every year. Correct.
Yeah, we will not be coming back and asking for this. It's totally voluntary. The plan is to invest these funds. And the thing to also keep in mind is the work on it is going to be totally scalable. If we don't reach that $15 million goal, we can scale the work up or down as needed, hiring the appropriate staff that we have based on the resources at our disposal. And that will dictate the course of work and the research that we do.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Hendricks, anything?
I think it's a very useful tool. My only concern is spending any money out of contingency at this point with all the flooding we have. If we could reconsider it at a later date, I think it might be better for our particular county.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockaday. I've struggled with this one as well. The timing is a little off for me as with flooding. It seemed like inflated prices on supplies and cost overruns on other projects we've been having, with us far from being out of the woods on the flooding. Over $40,000 out of contingency at this time is going to be very difficult. And I do love our public lands, so my struggle is real. But at the end of the day, it just seemed like a lot of money. And in times that were so uncertain. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Keller.
I have to go along with the other two so far. It's just bad timing, really bad timing. I support NACO, especially where the Western Interstate region, their mission objectives are point on, but it's just really bad timing. I would like to reach out to Mr. Sheffield. If I've got your contact info on here on the presentation, and I'd like to reach out to you. There's some counties that I can think of in the West that mirror you showed on your presentation that they are part of this. And I kind of want to reach out to them and talk to them personally. So I'll be sending you an email and see if we can't get that. Maybe next year, if that comes through, we can talk about this again. But right now it's extremely bad timing with our fixed budget, and we have an extreme flooding problem right now. We're in a state emergency. Thank you.
Anything else? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Just one comment on this. The invoice that we actually got through the work of the National Association of Counties, we received money under the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, which we were not expecting to get. I don't know exactly how much we got. That work came, like I said, through the efforts of the National Association of Counties. What they are asking for is 1% of that money that they helped us get. So we got, 1% is 41,205. And obviously we got $410,000 or 4 million or whatever. My math's not good right now. But so I understand the concerns, and I was also looking at that's the pot of money that I was thinking it would come from. It was staff's recommendation that it come from contingency instead. But I just wanted to put it out there that we received a lot of money that we wouldn't have gotten because of the efforts of the National Association of Counties.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager, if I may. So it was about $4.1 million. The reason it's coming out of contingency and not out of that is because out of the LATCF funding is because the LATCF funding can't be used for lobbying purposes. So and I believe even at NACO they were talking about how it was better for it to come out of a different pot of money.
I think Johnson.
Yeah, if I could just build on that, that's correct. And the thinking behind that was, and while we're not going to use these funds for lobbying purposes, we did want to emphasize that it's just better for everybody's sake if there is a wall of separation. And for example, I know that some counties have taken money out of a specific infrastructure project, whatever that pot of funding would have been for their contribution to the national center, taken it out of their general fund for a specific project or something along those lines, and then backfilled with the LATCF funding. So that's just one example of how counties have been able to utilize that funding without tapping into the LATCF.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And one more question, Mr. Sheffield, and we could actually do this in 2 installments, correct? We wouldn't have to pay the whole 41,000, right? We could do half of it this year and half of it next year or a later date.
That's correct. The $15 million fundraising goal is over 2 years. So we're certainly not going to turn away any county that wants to pay half 1 year, half the other, or anything like that. That's obviously completely up to you.
Any Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes, my question is, instead of doing this right now, could we wait until August till we know how things are going to settle with the flooding and then revisit this?
So that you would be requesting to table the agenda item until August?
Until August?
Okay. Well, let me ask for public comment at this point before we take any further action on this. Any public comment? Don't see anything. So I would look for a motion either to move on with the 6B or to table 6B until a later date after we have more information on flood expenses. So do I have any push on that?
I move that we table item 6B until the first meeting in August.
So I have a motion to table this until August. Commissioner Keller.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually need to table it, because we do everything by open meeting law. If we just don't take action, then it can be brought up a future agenda item whenever it's ready. So we're not, tabling means that we're setting it on the table and we can pull it back up during this meeting. And I think that we should just not take action if that's the direction we're going.
Okay, do I have, do we need a motion on that one to just not take action on it, or how do we
Oh.
work that?
So we would either need a second or she can pull her motion.
I can pull my motion.
Pull your motion?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the table for this item?
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna take a swing at it. Because I think this is important. When I first saw the invoice from our NACO, from Nevada NACO, I thought, what, no way. And then when we went back to the legislative conference in DC, and I learned more about this and understood the concept of, it's a one-time deal, and it's going to fund us and provide all Western public lands counties with data and research to better interact with the federal agencies. I think this is a valuable thing. So I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we see, how do I want to make this? Make a motion to approve a request for one-time funding for the National Center for Public Lands Counties in the amount of $20,602.75 for this year to be made from a transfer from contingency.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Henderson. Do I have a second? Okay, we have no second.
I just wanted to make
Okay.
a brief comment. The only reason why I'm not going to second it is because if then it failed, then we wouldn't be able to bring it back up because we already made a ruling on it and would have to go around beat the bushes. I'd like to be able to at least look at this later. So I'm not seconding it. That's why.
Well, Commissioner Keller, I appreciate those comments. And with that, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, so I have no motion. And we'll move on. I'm certain 9:30, 6C. For report and update only from Bureau of Land Management, BLM, and on basically current activities. And we have Lyon coming up. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Paul Beasley, Acting Field Manager, Sierra Glen Field Office. So we submitted an update for you. Sorry about the date on the top of the page there. It was carried over from the previous version we submitted. But believe me, I have changed many of the items. So I'm not going to cover everything, but please ask questions as they come up. I'll happily try to answer those. If I can't answer them, we'll get back to you with answers. So starting off with the Yerington Anaconda Mine disposal. The land of Ridgefield has submitted an application to purchase the lands, 2,062 acres of public lands around the mine site. We're going through a process where we have to reclassify that lands for disposal. And then we're currently working with our lands evaluation group to put an appraisal on that land. And then we're going to do an environmental assessment so we can actually go forward and dispose of that land back to the land of Richfield. Moving on to Vero Fiber Optic. This is for a 450-mile fiber optic route from Las Vegas to the Reno area. It's going to go through Carson City, Battle Mountain, Southern Nevada districts, NAS Fallon, a wide variety of other land management areas. We're preparing an environmental assessment on this project, being managed out of the Nevada State Office. And we will have a draft environmental assessment out in September of 23. Construction to start in 2024. Minister Road, a very local project here at Garrington. This is the new access road to the Walker River Park. So we're working with the Nevada Division of State Lands for a right of way, provide a new access to the pitchfork units. And we're also gonna have a trail right away that we're putting in for non-motorized access to the park. And the entirety of the project would be on public and state lands. And we should be signing that draft environmental assessment this month. And it should be completed by fall of 23, the project. Moving to off-highway vehicle races, OHV races, and special recreation permits. We have a lot going on in Lyon County in this area. Valley Off-Road Racing Association, BOR, has been issued 2 3-year SRPs to conduct OHV races in the Mason Valley and along the Wasatch Range east of Yarrington, as well as the Sidotzi Range. There's the Prospector Race 250 that was just held April 14th and 16th. And that was staged out of the newly dedicated off-road park. And everyone was pretty excited about that and had a good time. Rehab of the course has been completed with some additional reseeding of disturbed areas to occur this fall. The Stomping Ground 300 race coming up September 3rd and 4th. And that will be staged out of Eastside. Navora, Nevada Off-Road Association, just issued them the 10-year SRP, special recreation permit, for annual poker runs in Smith Valley. And they're gonna have 2 events every year, one in April, and then another one in September and October. And this year's race and poker run in September is to benefit the Desert Racing Association. A couple more on the calendar for us that we're working through the approvals. The Northern Mono County Chamber of Commerce and Eastern Sierra ATV and UTV Jamboree. That'll be in Western Lyon County, September 12th through the 16th. Another very popular one up in Fernley, the Fern 45 poker run, November 3rd and 4th this year. That's all permitted, ready to go. And then we have another big one, Legacy Off-Road Racing Association Gold Rush. So that's a 330-mile, 1-day race. It's gonna be staged out of Weeks and finish in Tonopah. That's gonna be October 19th. And then the annual Best in the Desert, Vegas to Reno, another super popular race. We're working on permitting that currently, and that's gonna happen in August of this year. Okay, moving on to renewable energy projects. So we have a new Wabuska geothermal project that's being proposed by Open Mountain Energy. And this project's located within existing federal geothermal leases. It includes the construction of drill pads and access roads. Scoping has been completed for this project. We are currently reviewing the comments that we received. And preliminary resource studies are in progress. From there, we'll move into environmental assessment for the project. Solar projects. There's a few of them now. We currently have 4 applications for large-scale solar development in Lyon County. All of these projects are currently in the baseline survey stage. And I'll just sort of go over these real quick. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. Libra Solar is to the south, and it has 5,400 acres and 700 megawatts of renewable energy. Scoping on this one closed May 24th. NextEra Energy has a couple projects. First one is Pine Nut Solar. And that's 1,662 acres of BLM land and 220 megawatts of renewable energy. Another proposed one is the Mason Valley Solar Project. And that's on 2,800 acres of BLM land and 400 megawatts of solar. And then finally, the Artemisia Solar north of Barrington. We just received that application. Accessing that one. I don't have that number here on my sheet. But I could get back to you with that number. Those were the topics I was going to cover. If there's any additional topics you'd like me to talk about or questions, I'd be more than happy.
Any
That'd be
questions?
one.
Mr. Jacobson?
Thank you, Chairman Hockaday. The Lyon County camping closure,
Yeah.
4,000, is that basically for the homeless camps, if you will, or people living in RVs?
It was really centered around people living in RVs. You know, they were on BLM lands. Generally, it's a 14-day camping period. And that's really for recreational based camping. This is sort of what we were terming like occupational based camping. Doesn't have a recreational purpose at all.
Right. And then what kind of, when you go in and tell people that, well, I'm assuming you go in, BLM goes in.
Yeah,
Tell them that it's time to leave. Do they have to clean up after themselves, or is that strictly if they leave and you're stuck with the mess?
yeah. So how it's worked is our law enforcement really tries to pair up with the social services program. So we're just not quote moving them along, but we're trying to get them the assistance and services that they need. And then yes, taking all of their stuff with them.
Do you have any teeth in the ability to do that, or if they leave? I guess.
The ability is limited.
Yeah.
You know, we do have a program set up with the DMV where we could. A RV is considered a residence, so our ability to sort of grab all that stuff is limited. We have to work with law enforcement, in essence, trespass the RV, wait until that's adjudicated, and then we need to get rid of it.
Is there something that we as a Lyon County Board of Commissioners can do to help you out and force some of that cleanup? Or is
I mean, I
that-
think our law enforcement, sorry to cut you off.
no, that's
Our law enforcement, working with the sheriff, has been, I think, a good partnership. And we're collaborating well there. And I just think supporting the social services that would help. You know, if we do have a cleanup, if there is a camp or a RV that sort of has exploded and just debris and stuff everywhere, which is frequently the case. You know, maybe working with you know, the roads crew or someone with the backhoe or the front end loader, they'll clean that up and we can get that shipped off to the dump.
thanks.
Further questions? Good.
Yep, thank you.
Question? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Appreciate the presentation. I want to talk about the statewide RMP.
Okay. Well, I heard them mention that on the presentation earlier, so I thought that might come up.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to say good luck. Yeah, you guys have hard enough time revamping a single RMP to bite off one for the whole state. Like I said, good luck. I know that SLUPAC, the State Land Use Plan Advisory Council that I sit on, and also I believe the Nevada Association of Counties have both submitted comments urging the BLM to fully fund you for that effort, to make sure you have the resources necessary to do it. Like I said, you guys struggled with getting just a single RMP done, and now to do one statewide.
We were so close in 2019.
Good luck.
Boy, we were
Yeah.
close.
And then I want to talk about horses. For a minute.
Okay, horses.
Yeah, NDOT spent a lot of money last year putting up fences along Highway 50 on
Right.
both sides, and that has certainly helped, with the vehicle animal collisions. But where are we at as far as population of horses, where are we at? You know, the amount of horses that we have and the amount we should have.
So currently today, we are actually applying the Pine Nut HMA. 2-day census flight for us. So yesterday was a flight and then we got sort of weathered out in the afternoon and had a mechanical. Luckily, the helicopter was already on the ground.
That's a
Yeah,
good
that
thing.
mechanical. So the Pine Nut HMA is probably a little over AML right now. We did a gather a few years ago.
Mhm.
And we'll be looking to do a gather of those horses outside the HMA when that becomes an issue and get that prioritized on the national priority list.
Yeah, because it sure seems to me that there's just in traveling, there's a lot more horses than there was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, on the Lahontan HMA, that one is currently many times over AML. That's one that we're currently trying to work on, getting a gather document in the hopper and signed so we can get that on the national priority list. Especially with the recent Fallon withdrawal. Some of that HMA, some of those horses. In the withdrawal area and we want to resolve that.
I do not envy you guys with the horse issue, because no matter what you do, you're gonna get sued, one side or the other.
Yeah.
You know, but good, like I've said for years, you know, we could just manage the wild horses the way we could just manage the sage grouse the way we do the wild horses, we wouldn't have any problems. But anyway, thank you very much.
Commissioner Hendricks. Okay, a couple items for me, the Wilson Canyon deferred maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly just a comment. I know that BLM owns, you know, the north side of 208. NDOT's got 208, Nevada 208 going through Wilson Canyon. Forest Service owns the river property. But what I've noticed, and it's going to start happening, is that we have people from the RV area there and the ATV area staying on the riverside for months. And I think you need to work with the Forest Service to make sure that they are not there for months. Because the last time it took us about 6 or 7 months to get a trailer out of there that was dumping all of their sewage into the river. So, you know, I have no problem with people camping, but if they are going to allow camping, then they have to have facilities. So you need to work with that because, you know, BLM, you have the facility there, you have the restrooms,
Right.
and you're doing your job and taking care of that area where it's massive people just about every weekend. But I do notice that the spillover, then people just kind of stay there, and I don't have a problem with camping until they start dumping into the river. The other question I had was about the Yerington Anaconda mine. Since Atlantic Richfield Company wants to purchase public land, do we know why they're looking at buying more land?
So that would just give them ability to implement their cleanup faster and with less restrictions that federal government has.
And
so
less
I believe it's one of
restrictions.
the items in the CERCLA action report. And I could get back to you with some of the
Okay,
specifics
yeah.
on that.
It always bothers me when I hear less restrictions on cleanup. So
I mean, I don't. Might have been the wrong exact words to use. I'll get back to you.
okay, appreciate that. Thank you. Any further questions?
If I could just chime in on the Wilson Canyon
Sure.
issue. The BLM actually owned on the south side of the river. And it's been weird land ownership since it got going through to the Forest Service here in '89. We actually own it to the other side of 208 there.
Okay,
And what are we doing? We are actually phase 2 of this Wilson Canyon project is putting boulders in that RVs won't be able to move. Rock crawl, you know, if they team up, they probably can move it, but and then doing some revegetation, trying to make it and welcoming for people to sort of long-term camp there, or really camp at all. Through BLM is
so cactus. Yeah, lots of cactus. That'll keep people from camping on top of it,
Yeah.
but I appreciate that. Thank you. I do, because it is a mess there usually from this time until October or till the snow starts falling. And I'm just concerned about the waste and things that occur.
Yeah, and tried to relinquish back that way station back to BLM. and not necessarily super interested in it.
No, thank you. Public comment, any public questions? Anything on Zoom? Look like it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, do we have?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, we have let's see, we've got that one. 6C is done. Moving on to 6D. Certainly past 9:45 for possible action approved designating an insurance agent for Lyon County for property casualty liability and workers' compensation coverage. And I believe we have a backup here. We do have some presentations, so I think the first presentation here should be from let me take a look here real quick, make sure I'm on the right track.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
may.
we've got
oh.
Tina Peterson from LP Insurance. Just I lost my paperwork here for a moment. So bear with me. So if you would like to step up and present your information.
Maybe go ahead and forward, please.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Tina Peterson with LP Insurance for the record. So just a little background. I was actually your insurance agent a couple years ago, like 5 years ago. And up until 3 years ago, I was with A&H Insurance and was your broker. I chose to leave A&H Insurance and join LP Insurance Services. I did have a 3-year non-compete clause that is now over. So I am coming back to the board to ask for your business back now that we can have a conversation, because I know I have talked to many of you, seen you at NACO, other conferences, but because of the situation, have not approached or talked to any of the commissioners until my non-compete was over. Just a couple reasons for my choice to change. LP Insurance, their mission statement is about relationships, not only with their clients, but with their coworkers. And I think to me that is very important, because when you work as a team, you have more to offer your clients. The other opportunity that I was provided to move to LP Insurance was to become a shareholder, and an opportunity to not only work hard for something, but have something in the end. A true business and success mindset. LP has been around since 1927. Started as Lucini Parish, as most of you in the room have probably heard that name a time or two. So as you can see, the transition from Lucini Parish to LP Insurance, LP is not going anywhere. Matter of fact, the growth of LP is at 240 employees and 12 locations. One of those locations is my Fernley location, where I reside. Of course, as LP gets bigger and stronger, the team gets bigger and stronger as well. The experience and knowledge that LP has to offer has far succeeded anything that I ever expected when I went there. And if you can switch to mobile. Yep. So as you can see from my bio, I am a Lyon County resident. I have a vested interest in Lyon County, as this is where I live and I raise my family and my twin boys. I'm very involved in the community. I sit as president of the Rotary Club of Fernley and the president of the Fernley Chamber of Commerce. I believe we have a common goal in making Lyon County the best place to work and live. As you can see, there are some references down at the bottom, as I'm very aware of the flooding, as I do insure the city of Yerington. So I've been watching that as well. And of course, hoping for the best, as we all are. On the next page. So when you hire LP as a brokerage, you don't get an agent, but you get an entire team. That's what I think is really, really important when you look at agencies as a whole, is what they have to offer. And as you're currently with Pool and Pact for your insurance, there are a lot of these services that Pool is absolutely amazing at. But on the other hand, we do have these internal services for risk management, workers' comp, loss control. These are just some of the team that you get when you hire LP. We experienced during COVID a whole change in the way that we do things, from day-to-day life to how we run business. And what we found is that there were a lot of carriers that pulled back during this time and was not giving the services that they had because of the restrictions as far as risk services, loss control. So having an amazing team of risk services already in place, they worked on ways to still bring those services to our clients when most of the carriers were not providing those services themselves. We tried to find creative ways to still offer, whether it was online, virtual, whatever, and make sure that our clients were still taken care of and their risk services were still being met. So we do have a workers' comp specialist, Christy Johnson. She's absolutely phenomenal. I do believe that Davies, which is your workers' comp for all of your claims provider, they do a phenomenal job. But sometimes you just need an extra pair of eyes. And it's nice to have that in-house, that you can look at those claims, see what's going on with those claims from a different perspective than just that third-party outsource. So we do have that ability to look at those claims and advise. So once again, just to highlight that you don't just get an agent with LP, but you get an entire team of professionals. The larger we become, the more we can contribute to our communities and to our nonprofits, in which we do support. NACO is one of our biggest things that we do support. So I know I've seen most of you at NACO. I hope to see you again in September. So we do insure most of the counties around you. So we do insure Douglas, Nye, Story, Esmeralda, and Elko County. So just in closing, I wanted to let you know that I do believe that Pool Pact, your current carrier, is absolutely amazing. They have a great program. They offer amazing services. But as you guys grow, those services may not be everything you need. We may need to look outside of those services, whether it's to enhance the program, bring in extra coverages that Pool has not offered as of yet. For example, cyber. Up until a few years ago, Pool Pact didn't offer cyber. Then they brought it in. So Pool Pact is always looking for ways to enhance their program, but they may not be there yet on certain coverages. So to have the ability to go out and find what these services are, we do have exclusive on a wholesale market. So whether it's with Pool or a public sector market, I believe an assessment would be great for Lyon County, so we know exactly what the current market is and what you're currently paying to make sure that that balances out. And I don't know that that has been done in recent years. So just to let you know, I am here for the long haul. Like I said, I live in Lyon County. I spend my money in Lyon County. And unfortunately, I'm not retiring anytime soon. So I would love to continue the relationship I started building a few years ago. And I would appreciate your consideration in hiring help. Any questions?
Questions from commissioners? No. I don't see any other hands or anybody running up, so thank you very much, Ms. Peterson.
Thank you.
A&H Insurance, your presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are the representatives of A&H Insurance. I'll begin by my introduction, which is Brad Pierce. And with me is Kayla Woods, who is our municipality manager. We are the agents for Lyon County. We, A&H Insurance, have been your agents for the last 6 years. We came into Lyon County with the acquisition of an agency in Fernley, the Jackson Agency, which was followed by the acquisition of the O'Keefe Agency here in Yarrington with George O'Keefe's passing. We've worked very, very well with the transition of the O'Keefe Agency, but with that came Lyon County. As I say, we have represented you for the last 6 years. As was just stated, Ms. Peterson was with our agency for a 3-year window. She worked with the staff as well as presented 1 year as the agent for Lyon County. I had continued that with the aid of what was then our municipality manager, Carol Ingalls. Unfortunately, Carol passed away with COVID in 2021. I'm sorry. But with that, I wanted to give you a little bit of quick background on A&H and then turn it over to Kayla for her comments, and she can address several different issues as to how and what A&H is doing. May I ask, I was told that there was a brief presentation that was put in your packets. Is that? Thank you. All right. I do have copies for anybody, but I want to just quickly highlight a couple of the points on here. A&H does have a very long standing in Northern Nevada. It was formed in 1957. We are, we believe, the largest independently owned agency in Northern Nevada. So many of the larger agencies or agencies of our size have been sold or acquired by either private equity groups out of different parts of the country or national brokers. And we take a great deal of pride in that. There seems to be a lot of discussion as to being part of a community. As I say, we are part of this community, which is Lyon County. We have bricks and mortar locations in both Fernley as well as here in Yarrington. We have additional locations in Northern Nevada. There are 6 bricks and mortar locations, and I can describe those if that's desired. There was discussion as far as who is represented in the municipality pool. There are approximately 135 entities that utilize the municipality program that's in place. A&H handles 43 of those. So we are very, very well represented and knowledgeable in that aspect. I did want to very quickly state that we have worked very, very well with Josh Foley and his staff. He does a wonderful job for your county. And we've had a very good and strong relationship with him, which I think he will reiterate if necessary. I don't think I'll go into the timelines or any of that. I probably touched on those. I probably closed my comment just by basically stating that as being part of this community, we work very hard to aid financially, aid in whatever fashion with an awful lot of various charities, institutions, clubs within Lyon County. And as you can see at the bottom of the page, we've kind of enumerated some of the many that we do work with. So we are definitely a part of this community. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kayla.
Hi, everyone. Kayla Woods for the record, and Brad's very incredible. And I just want to take this second to edify what he does and who he is and his 47 years of experience in insurance and working with the municipalities since the Pool Pack program came to Nevada in 1987. Insurance is a huge part of our world, but I know even with seeing this meeting today, it's a pretty small part of your world. But I just want you to know that it's what we do every day. And in the background, I think we've processed some 1,000+ questions, changes, policy additions for Lyon County in just the last few years. So we really are touching this account in the background a lot with Josh and his team. Obviously, we're here today because you're comparing A&H insurance and LP insurance. And so I want to speak to that a little bit because when I came to Reno, I started working in insurance in a very small rural community, making a very little hourly wage. And I've worked my way up to where I am today. And that was all intentional. And I didn't decide that insurance was going to be what I would do forever, but I really loved helping people. And I really loved making something that isn't super easier on people and advocating for them. And so you look at LP insurance and they are growing. They are no longer fully locally owned within Nevada. And growth is really their primary objective. And for A&H, although growth is important, we're growing our team, we're adding new team members that I'm training. I think what's more important for us is staying local and having that local feeling, that down home feeling where you call me and I answer my cell phone, you text me and I answer the text message. I did pass all of my exams to become a certified risk manager in the fall. I am passionately working with the Pool Pact and their risk managers that they have. Additional members that we manage, we were able to double check claims and find almost $1 million of claims money that the Davies Group had initially declined. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that all these little things we're doing because that's our job and we want to continue to do it. We value this county a lot. This meeting was really important to us today. And I think between Brad and I, you're getting a lot of experience, a lot of excitement and motivation. I've done insurance for 12 years. I also am not going anywhere anytime soon. I love what I do. I love A&H. I can call the owner of A&H if my car breaks down on the side of the road, and we're the kind of business where he's going to come pick me up and help me. But also, we're employing 60 people that live and work in this community and taking care of their families. We have a big barbecue this afternoon. And so I just think that's important for you guys to know. Also, with everything going on with the flooding, I wanted to see if you have applied for any of the risk management grants with the pool. Insurance typically comes into play when there's damages, but the Pool Pack does offer risk management grants, which can provide extra funding, especially if you're doing things to prevent those damages. So as we look at trying to reimburse some of the funds from what you're all dealing with right now, I definitely like to help you look in and apply for some of those grants as well. Anything I missed, Brad?
I guess I should have mentioned, we too have a municipality team headed by Kayla. We have basically 7 members. We've just added another new member to it. And so it is something as far as that we're quite proud of, in addition to the comment I was going to make is if anybody wants to know who or where A&H is, you can walk right out this front door and across the street about 120 feet to our storefront. So we are here, we are part of this community and want to retain the account certainly, and basically continue to do service for you.
Any questions?
Questions, commissioners? Any public questions? Then I would look for a motion.
Chairman Hockley,
Yes.
could I ask just Mr. Foley a question?
I think I was gonna ask the same question.
Oh, well, there he is. I didn't even see you sneak back in.
Being our chief bean counter and extraordinaire. Commissioner Henderson, you mind if I go first? All right. Thank you, sir. So with this, it's my understanding, we don't really have an idea for what rates will be, and so we're not bidding on a lower or not. We don't get a presentation on price ranges and whatnot.
No, I will be, after this agenda item, I will be negotiating rates with either insurance agency, whatever the board's motion was.
And it seemed like our other insurance went up considerably. We're anticipating this one probably as well.
It is, and that's driven by a couple of factors, markets, worldwide market conditions, and then assess valuation where properties keep increasing in value. So the insurance to cover them, we end up with more premiums.
Commissioner.
And then I just
Okay,
want
go
to
ahead.
comment too, that while numbers aren't playing into this, I just appreciate the fact that we're having a conversation about providers. I think that helps give us better pricing. So no matter which direction we head, I do appreciate the fact that we are doing this in the interest of taxpayers' dollars. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Foley, are you happy with our current carrier?
I am happy with our current rate.
Thank you.
Any further questions? No.
Full disclosure on that, I gave my word to both insurance companies that I would say that I've worked with Tina, I've worked with our existing agent. I have no issues working with either of them. So.
Thank you,
but
Mr.
yes,
Foley.
I'm happy with our existing.
Okay. With the questions completed, don't see any other public hands up or anybody in the chamber. So do I have a motion on?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we designate A&H Insurance as Lyon County's is a company we use for property, casualty, liability, and workers' compensation coverage.
Do I have a second? I will second that. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
That was an eye. I just got
Aye. Okay, so we had ayes were Commissioner Keller, Henderson, and Hockaday.
And me.
And Hendricks,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, and nay,
Jacobson.
nay, okay, and one nay. Commissioner Jacobson. So the motion passes for A&H continuing to be our insurance representative. So takes care of that. We'll move on. We are not at the next time certain. Do we want to take a break for 5 minutes? Sure. Let's take a break for 5. It's 10:24. Let's get back at about 10:30-ish. Get back here. Get back together here at 10:32. And We do have a time certain at 11, which we'll come back to. We finished up with item 8, I believe. County Manager, you were completed with your report then?
Yes.
Super. So we will go to 9 elected official reports. Do we have any elected official reports for today? Looks like the sheriff is coming up. Sheriff Pope.
Morning.
Morning.
Lyon County Sheriff Brett Pope for the record. Figure with high school graduation, 8th grade promotion, everything happened, graduation tomorrow. Kind of appropriate to give you a report on what's going on with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office and the schools and teens in general. Our school resource officers will be attending their appropriate high school graduations tomorrow. Being available for them. Next week, we begin a 4-day class session for the community, one day in each area. I'll be teaching a class on how teens abuse medicine. It's kind of a prevention series on teens becoming addicted on prescription medications and opioids, which takes them down a path to harder drug abuse. And that's open to the public, and give my flyers also to Shayla to pass out. And like I said, it'd be one in each area, 6 p.m. at various areas. Our junior deputy program, the application's closed, and that's launched in Dayton. That closes with graduation, and we're looking at our first session, our first class to be that first week of July, possibly the second week of July. I got to see where the 4th of July falls.
On the 4th.
Yeah, most likely July 1st on that Saturday. So that'll start off for the high school teens. I've had a big interest in that in Dayton. In October, we rolled that out in Fernley. In April of next year, we rolled that out in the rest of the county. So junior deputy program's expanding. Looks like that's going to be good to go. Also, Monday, June 5th, myself and 3 other deputies start the summer weights program here in High School for a football team. So we're involved with the youth there as well. All the assistant coaches now are deputies with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. So that's a good way to break down the barriers with the youth here. My JV coach was a police officer for the Aaron Police Department, but we stole him, and now he's a sworn deputy with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. So now 100% across the board, all the coaches are Lyon County Sheriff's Office employees, so it's good. Other than that, the jail is still producing sandbags. They're put out in front of the jail. We've advertised in local groups that the community is welcome to pick up the sandbags. They're pushing out about 10 pallets at a time. Been monitoring them, and the sandbags seem to be getting picked up to take to various locations. Our post on the sandbags on our Facebook page is pretty popular, and a lot of people have seen it, and they're coming to get sandbags. So doing our part there to help the community. I know it's a lot of work to fill the sandbags. So if we can eliminate that from the community, hopefully more people take advantage of that, pick up the sandbags and place them out. Other than that, our next saturation patrol is coming up. Won't tell the date on the record. Oh, that's in Silver Springs. That should be sometime within the next 2 weeks. So next commission meeting, I'll give you a full report on that. Would have a report on response times. Dispatch is still working on that right now. So next commission meeting, I'll give you guys a full report on where our response times are at. Other than that, don't have anything else to report at the moment.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate your report. And I appreciate you using the inmates to do sandbags to help the community out. And I have secondhand information that the inmates really enjoyed it as well. So
They like getting outside.
absolutely.
They're still fenced in, but
Right.
yeah, it's better looking at the interior of the jail all day.
Commissioner Jacobson, anything?
No, I just appreciate the fact that last few days school having extra duty deputies on campuses and it made a huge difference. We appreciate it.
Commissioner Keller, anything? Commissioner Hendricks. I just wanted to thank you for the information that's coming out of the sheriff's office. letters that are actually emails that are concern CCWs and the backup and, you know, how you're working through that process. Also the information letters that we're getting on arrests and different things that are going on. It's good to have that background information because people are always asking, they're calling, you know, me, probably other commissioners. And by having that, we can give them an official word rather than, well, we don't know. And it could be this or that. So I do appreciate keeping us up to date on everything. Thank you very much.
And as far as CCW goes, we actually hired a new administrative assistant named Savannah Souza, and she's phenomenal. She's handling all our CCWs. She is all caught up all the way till May. So a lot of CCWs waiting to be stamped and sent out. So she's very efficient. She's getting that done.
Great.
Within the 120 days.
They'll be sending them a big batch in about 2 weeks. A lot of students out there. All right. Thank you. Appreciate the updates. Okay, any other elected official reports? Number 10, appointed official reports. Mr. Homestead.
Morning, Doug Homestead, record facility director. So I want to let you know, we had our first pre-construction meeting for the district court job. It'll be starting in July, the first week after the holiday. And they're hoping to be done before a year's up. I've met with the contractor like 3 times now at the building, showing, looking at different things. The contractor's probably going to start a week sooner. So they can get the building opened up. They got to take out some of the siding off the side so they can get the materials and their dump chutes and stuff in the building. And so it's ready to start on the 10th when they do start. We started the ARPA project on the paving at the fairgrounds. That's one of your items later on the agenda. We're looking for a little more money. We had an idea to improve the project a little bit and make it ADA compliant all the way from the ticket booth all the way to the grandstands. And so we're looking for a little extra money for that. Our crews have been busy now and then delivering sandbags. The inmates are doing a great job filling sandbags. They're very enthusiastic about anything they can help us with. So they're really enjoying being outside of the jail. And I really want to thank Dustin's crews along with Perry and Sons. They worked all weekend, and as a former mayor of City of Uniontown, I really appreciate the job they're doing protecting the city. And I have any questions for me?
Commissioners, questions? Not a question for me, but a couple of good comments. The trees that have been removed out there at the Hillcrest Cemetery in Smith Valley, it looks much better with the ones that are removed. I know we're going to get the rest of them out eventually, but what a difference. To have those trees covering tombstones and just making a big mess with the birds nesting. So appreciate that. Also, the advisory board in Smith Valley would at least like to get some direction on spraying the weeds there in the large lot out in front of the cemetery. The second half, they just need kind of, you're okay to hire a Smith Valley conservation.
Give
Just-
you on that about getting a hold of soil conservation and having go ahead and do that.
Okay, sounds great. Appreciate it. You're on top of everything as usual.
All right, thank you.
I see Mr. Foley sneaking up.
Wait, where's my ball?
Go ahead, sir.
Josh Ball, Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. I just want to say I appreciate Doug and all the other departments. We are very fortunate. Thank God every day. I'm gonna get teary. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do that. We have fantastic people to work with. Not just the department heads. I will report, I got to go to kindergarten graduation with my granddaughter. My wife was presenting today, and it looks like we have a bumper crop of firefighters and police officers coming up. So that is good. There was one kid in my wife's class that wants to be the government when he grows up so he can boss everyone around. So if anyone wants to give him tips, we can start him out early. Besides that, working with the school district, they are in the process of moving out of our Silver Springs road yard to do their bus maintenance and all of that. They're gonna do their own facility. They have a fuel tank that they want to leave behind and asked if we would want to purchase it from them. So I'm working on that. It'll be coming back to you. It wasn't something we budgeted for. So I'm guessing we're talking somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000 or so. But that will be coming back to you on the future agenda because we would use it if it were still there. We currently use it because it's a sharing situation with the school district currently. Also, fiber project between this building, the Justice Complex and Dispatch. Completed up. I ushered the last person working on it out about 5:30 last night, and they have completely done it. So we now have a 40 gig connection, which could actually go up to 100 gig or more with new technologies compared to the 10 gig that we had before. So I don't know if you care about the gigs, but it's 4 times as fast. How's that? So that will help us significantly in certain backup situations and redundancy. Besides that, I think that's all I have for this meeting.
Questions for Mr. Foley, Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockaday. Well, I sat in this past week on some interviews with the city of Fernley on Public Works Director, and I would agree with you. We have incredible staff throughout, and we're very fortunate to be able to keep them. And then I see we have Mr. Bloom here from the Lyon County School District, and maybe we could go back and forth here a little bit on the price of this gas tank. It's going to cost you quite a bit of money just to move it and get the permitting and whatnot. So that's a little steep, Daryl. Well, you laugh, but now's a good chance for us to lower the price on that. What do you say, big guy? Thank you, Mr. Foley.
Commissioner Anderson.
Just a question. You know, I don't see a Royals tie.
Yeah.
I don't own a Royals tie, but they are my team.
I'm sorry.
It's been painful for a couple of years.
Any questions, Commissioner Hendricks?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Foley. See Shayla Holmes is on the hot seat now.
Good morning, Shayla Holmes, Director, Human Services. I just wanted to let you guys know that our Human Services staff did go out with Search and Rescue and the Sheriff's Department last week doing outreach to individuals at risk or currently flooding. The goal of those teams were to, one, talk with families that have significant flooding or at risk for significant flooding, see what their plans were, see if they need assistance, what their long-term thoughts were in regards to damage to the home and where they could be or where they could go. And then also reach out to other individuals who have yet to flood but are at risk of flooding to see if they had plans and what their plans would be and what type of assistance they would need in the event of an evacuation and the event of a shelter. We hit 60 residences along the addresses or the streets of River, Happiness, parts of State Route 339, Margoroli, Jordan, Mason, and Glassner. We did identify some folks with functional access needs who would need help if they were in wheelchairs or having ambulatory issues. Residences who did want our help. So we have connected with some residents who would want to work with Human Services to figure out if they don't have flood insurance. If they do have flood insurance, what are we going to do because of the damage to their homes and how they can live healthy going forward? And then talked with many families about what they would do in the event of an evacuation or a shelter situation and made sure that they all had those thoughts first and foremost going forward. Just wanted to give you guys that update. It was successful.
Thank you. Commissioner, questions? Commissioner Jacobson? Nope. Okay. Any questions from the public since you're dealing with them quite a bit this last month or two? No? Mr. Carriola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Louis Carriola, Community Development Director. I'll quickly run through 3 topics here. First, related to area drainage master plans. Commissioners Keller and Hendricks did attend our kickoff for the Silver Springs area drainage master plan last week. We're hoping, provided the schedule holds, by the end of the year, we'll have more public meetings once that data has been collected. By the end of this calendar year, we're also hoping to have the same type of meeting for the Stagecoach area drainage master plans with completion for both scheduled for 2024. An update regarding code enforcement, that was something that came up, I believe, in May. I wanted to just report next week, I'll be having a meeting with Commander Powell and our code enforcement team regarding setting up a task force. So we have a better idea and protocol for managing, in particular, people living in RVs and complaints by residents regarding that. Sometimes we have, the complexity associated with someone who's living in an RV per a previous approval or a property owner, as opposed to essentially criminal trespass. So that's something that's been coming up quite a bit in code enforcement, and that'll be our first task. Although I'd imagine this is going to be a good opportunity to maybe establish some other protocols. I know Commissioner Hendricks in particular, you had some items. So if you'd like to send me an email so that when I have that meeting next week, I can address other topics that you see fit. And then finally, just regarding staffing here in community development, by the end of the month, we're hoping this month, June, we're hoping to have our plans examiner in-house. So again, outside of the contracted work, as we discussed with the building inspectors previously. And I'm happy to report next week, we'll also be having an interview for a planner to backfill my position. So with these plans in place, I'm hoping by the end of the month, the community development will be fully staffed. So I'm available for questions if you have any.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockley. It's my understanding that your position we made hard to fill, or it's designated as hard to fill, so we might be able to pull somebody in, or not on that one.
No, not for the planner
Okay.
position yet. This position in my mind is a bit more appealing. While it's difficult to find a planner, this is a largely remote position. So we have been trying to make sure we play up that angle as this being an attractive job for Lyon County.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hendricks.
I just wanted to know, can I attend that meeting? That you're gonna
I'm not
have?
sure. I don't know if there's any.
If you can
kind of
let me
issue
know
with
what
that.
it is, I'd
Sure,
like to
absolutely.
just sit in on that.
Okay, I'll
Thank
send you
you.
an invite.
Yeah, at the same point, I would, as long as we don't have three commissioners, I'd certainly have kind of been on top of a lot of this code enforcement things. I'd like to be able to be included whenever you have that date and time, let me know. And if I can get it into the schedule, I'll certainly be there.
Very good. I'll send you both the invites today.
Thank you very much. Anything further? I don't see any public jumping up, so we're good to go. Any other appointed officials? I'll move on to advisory board reports, item 11. Have any advisory reports today? I don't see anything on Zoom. If not, then we're going to move on to item 12, consent agenda. Looks like today's consent agenda is 12A through 12I. There was one backup document that we should have all received, just on a change in some numbers that I had a few questions on, but that backup pretty much takes care of the item. So do I have a motion, or I should say, do we have anybody have a question on this?
Can we
Commissioner
pull,
Hendricks,
can we pull 12D? The minutes?
you want to pull the minutes?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
which one?
12D,
12G. D, I'm sorry. Minutes for May 18th. All right. So you want to pull 12D, we can do that.
Chairman Hockley, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda 12A through 12, I believe
Okay.
pulling 12D as in dog.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson and a second by Commissioner Henderson. Do we have any public comment on anything for the consent agenda? Hearing nothing, then let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of consent agenda 12A through 12I with polling 12D, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So it passes, and now we will move on to 12D. Commissioner Hendricks.
My only comment was on item 22. It shows that we opened and closed public comment, but it doesn't show the vote for approving it.
Okay. Good catch. So if we update that,
Mr. Chair.
yes.
So thank you, Mr. Chair, also. And thank you, Commissioner Hendricks, for pulling this because I was going to, but forgot on item 6C. The first thing, John Ponder, that was actually John Porter, who just happens to be a former congressman.
Yeah.
Seems like I saw that too and didn't mark it.
So
Yeah, okay.
that would be,
That's a good catch on that one also.
need to be corrected.
Okay, so those two corrections then on 12D. Do we want to do anything on that one for with the corrections?
Do we know what the vote was, or do we need to?
I'm not sure. We probably have to check on that and get back with that. So we want to keep that pulled until we get the information.
Yep.
All right. Then I guess 12D will remain out until we get more information on that. Guess that's the way that needed to work. Okay. So we will then move on. Public hearing on planning items, item 13. 13 for possible action to approve the request for a conditional use permit from Lyon County School District to allow an approximately 1,440 square foot commercial coach office building on an 80.45 acre parcel generally located to the southeast of the intersection of Old Dayton Valley Road and Breakwater Drive at 335 Old Dayton Valley Road in Dayton, APN 016-2271-11 and PLZ 2023-010. So like we're going to get a little bit of a presentation on that one for a pretty simple item.
Morning, I'm Bill Roth, Senior Planner. So we're getting our presentation up here for the Lyon County School District proposed office building on their Dayton High School campus. Great. So you can see the project site. It's at the very southern portion of the Dayton High School campus. You can see the row of buses there at the very south perimeter. This photo at the top shows the older buildings. So they're basically two buildings that are going to be replaced from late 80s, early 90s with a new, more modern modular building. The existing buildings basically provide office space for transportation staff and also some storage space. And those will be replaced with a single building that will provide the office space for the transportation staff. There are no other changes proposed to the surface or any other buildings. They are highlighted in yellow in this photo here at the bottom. And then in red in this photo, which is kind of a close-up. So the property is zoned RR20. And per the zoning standards, you're required to have a conditional use permit for that use, and then also for use of a commercial coach in that zoning district. And just a quick summary of the project, they're adding one transportation office building, approximately 1,440 square feet, and they're removing the two existing 1,240 square foot modular buildings. Just another sort of overview of the site. There is an existing bus shop and a restroom building that will remain, and then that new building is shown in yellow. And then these are the elevations of the new building. And per the findings per the approval for a conditional use permit, you do have to make the findings in the Lyon County Code. And just some highlights here. Basically, it's an existing educational facility, replacing existing transportation offices serving that educational facility, not expanding the project boundary or increasing traffic flow or anything along those lines. And it would be subject to a building review for public health, safety, and welfare. I believe the applicant is also here as well, and staff's available for any questions.
Commissioners, questions? Public questions? Then I see no problem with this issue. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request by Lyon County School District for a conditional use permit to allow an approximately 1,440 square foot office building on an 80.45 acre parcel in a rural residential 20 acre minimum zoning district generally located to the southeast of the intersection of Old Dayton Valley Road and Breakwater Drive at 335 Old Dayton Valley Road in Dayton on APN 016-271-11, PLZ 2023-010. Based on the findings A through G and subject to the conditions 1 through 7 as contained in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Henderson and a second by Commissioner Jacobson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, getting pretty, oh,
I think so. Mr. Chair, did you do public comment on that one?
I did.
Okay.
All right. I think we were rolling up on 11.
2 minutes.
So,
Mr. Chair,
We
we have
could-
another 2 minutes.
yeah, we could do 13B then, and it's for possible action to approve the request from Microsoft Corporation for an abandonment of a 60-foot wide easement known as Rhyolite Lane for a length of approximately 671 feet and a 30 feet wide access and utility easement known as Theodore Street for a length of approximately 660 feet on 4 parcels in Silver Springs, APN 018-551-03, 018-551-04, 018-552-01, and 018-552-02, PLZ 2023-005. And we do have a backup on that, late backup. So guess we'll get a presentation on that with the late backup.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Louis Cariola, Community Development Director. The applicant's representative is here to make a presentation. I have a couple slides afterwards if you have questions regarding the backup materials and some of the supplemental information. They include a letter from Oshinsky and Forsberg representing Apache Homes, a property just to the east of the subject parcels that stated some opposition to the request. The late addition and supplemental materials submitted by Microsoft's representatives, and it does alter the request, and I'll let Ms. Huggins describe that request.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Stacey Huggins with Wood Rogers for the record. Yeah, so I just to start off, and I do have a very brief presentation, but we had initially in our application, we're anticipating 2 separate abandonment sections. One of them you see on the screen there, it's the blue section, that's Rhyolite Lane. That is a 60-foot section of Rhyolite in the middle of 4 parcels owned by the applicant, Microsoft. As part of the original application and your motion as it stands, or the item description as it stands today, it had also included a section of Deodar just directly south of the blue highlight on that map. We received the letter from Apache Homes attorney on Friday, I think, and because of the long weekend, we were not able to address it on Friday, but we submitted the letter yesterday rescinding the request to abandon Deodar in order to be good neighbors with Apache Homes and be able to move forward. And Microsoft has confirmed that they can proceed with the reversion acreage of those 4 parcels without abandoning that section of Deodar. So that is no longer part of our request. So I will ask you to just consider the 60-foot right-of-way of Rhyolite through the 4 subject parcels. It's approximately 670 feet from east to west in the center of those 4 parcels owned by Microsoft. And then if the abandonment is approved today, the next step would be to process a reversion to acreage to combine those parcels before the abandonment is actually recorded, so that we are not creating any inaccessible parcels as a result of the abandonment. And the other thing I just want to mention is that as part of this abandonment, under a separate process, there is a sewer utility line abandonment that's happening because right now there is a manhole in the middle of those 4 parcels. So a portion of that sewer line will also be abandoned. It will be capped essentially about 8 feet into our property line, but it will still serve the adjacent, all those surrounding properties in its current capacity outside of these 4 parcels. So that, again, very brief presentation. Happy to answer any questions if you have them. But again, this is now just about the Rhyolite abandonment.
Questions?
You
No,
answered mine.
no questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Keller, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Any public comments or questions? Looks pretty straightforward. No further comments, and we'll go ahead and look for a motion that takes into account the reduction in the amount of access here in utility easement. So who would like to give me a motion? Commissioner Keller.
Move to approve the request from Microsoft Corporation for the abandonment of a 60-foot wide easement known as Rhyolite Lane for a length of approximately 671 feet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have to list those parcels? On my
The
motion.
4 parcels? I guess you could, those are the 4, but
Just a
For the
question,
record,
the
for the
motion is
question.
based on the findings.
based on the findings.
A through D.
Yes. As presented. That's that.
And I'm not sure if we should go ahead and read those in for the record. I think we probably
I'll go ahead and do it.
should, since it was the 4.
It's on the 4 parcels in Silver Springs, APNs 18-55103, 18-55104, 18-55201, 18-55202, PLZ 2023-005.
Okay,
Chairman Huckabee, do we
Yep.
also want to mention the fact that the sewer line will remain intact on those properties, or is that not necessary?
As presented.
It would not be necessary
Okay.
Okay.
at this time. Thank you.
okay. So I have a motion then by Commissioner Keller. Did I have a second on that?
I believe I seconded. it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Second by Commissioner Henderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, now we're at a time certain, 11:04. We were really trying to stay on time here. So our time certain for, I believe it was 6E,
Yeah, I lost it.
11 a.m. And that is for possible action, determine the preferred site location of the future Dayton government complex and possibly direct the county manager to negotiate a lease/purchase agreement for a developer built building to bring back to the Board of Commissioners for consideration. And Mr. Foley,
Josh Foley, Lyon County Council, for the record. Just to give you a little history on this project, we've been wanting to do a building in Dayton to replace lease space and consolidate our services for a number of years. Originally, the board looked at a couple of parcels, or had us look at a couple of parcels in a similar vicinity to the parcel that's before you. We determined at that time we didn't have enough cash to build the building if we bought parcels back then. So we were directed by the board to put it on the Miravita project on Dayton Valley Road that the county owns. As time has gone by, we've been able to set more money aside for the project. We also had a developer, and they're present here today, that approached us and said, we would like to build a community area in Dayton as part of our complex and at our government complex in that community. It's a better location, simply located for a number of our services. The price, we believe, I did a rough price comparison, included that in your packet between the 2 sites. As far as just bringing it up to rough grading and having utilities brought to it. Very similar in price. It looks like it may actually potentially be less expensive to go with the proposed site in Traditions. Again, those are rough figures. I talked to Dustin Homan, I talked to David Bertetta. We would have to, on our existing site, we would have to change Dayton Valley Road to 4 lanes. We'd have to build roads internal to our site. Where this one comes with all of that, we would have to build additional parking on our site at Miravita, where this one comes with parking in the street that's already baked into the price of the property. And so our recommendation today, come to the board, is we believe that this is something that's really good for the community and for the county. We think the price is equitable. And of course, we've got to go through the due diligence of all the statutory requirements. They would build the building, lease it back to us. We want to pay for that over probably a 5-year time period, keep it as medium-term financing so that we're not doing it for longer. We want the ability to prepay in the terms of that lease. We'd bring back a proposal to the board in the future for that. Project is still subject to prevailing wage, either way we go. But in some of the discussions with the developer, we believe there are some ways to reduce some of the overhead that are inherent in the bidding process if the county does it. And so it may be significantly cheaper all the way around to do this and more timely as well. So I just wanted to bring this concept before you. I know developer has a presentation and Andrew's been heavily involved in the discussions as well.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager for the record. Yeah, that Mr. Foley did a great job of covering it. I think this is a much better site, and so we're asking for the board to designate it today and then to allow me to begin negotiations on that. I'll turn it over to the developer. They've got a presentation that'll kind of give you an idea of what that potentially would look like.
Hello, for the record, my name is Don Smith. I'm with Project One. They represent a gentleman by the name of Stan Lucas. We're tremendously excited about this opportunity to have a public-private participation and potentially provide you with a government center in traditions. If any of you have driven by there in 2000, I'll give you just a little bit of history. In 2008, that project folded, nothing ever got built, streets weren't put in, some limited utilities were replaced. Today, I'm pretty happy to report that our backbone road structure is nearly, which is a 4-lane, I call it a highway, 1.3 miles long, will be 100% complete, most likely by the end of next week. We have sold 122 lots to D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in the United States. I believe right now, I have to see 83 homes are under construction since November. They've got 10 sold. There are 4 people that are already living in the community. And so we approached Mr. Haskett and Mr. Foley with this. Actually, it was with Jeff Page a couple of years ago. And now that we feel like we've been able to evolve. So I just have a couple of very quick videos, and then I'm really here to answer questions today. And so that hopefully the work that has to be done by us, the district attorney, Andrew and Josh can move forward. The one promise I'm going to make is from the day that we sign this agreement, you'll walk in that building in 30 months. It'll be done. Architecture will be done. The building will be done. And one thing on the architecture, we're not reinventing the architecture. You have paid for a programming study by Paul Cavan Architecture that was hired by you. We intend to move forward with Mr. Cavan's programming of that building. The footprint is actually done on that building. That's why we can commit to a 30-month period. We will follow all of that programming. As we do this, as Mr. Foley had explained, we would build that, but we would build that with a representative attending all of those to ensure that that building is built to the specifications required by Lyon County. Let's Yeah, if you click on the drone flight. The drone flight, we do this every 2 weeks. I just want to give you an idea of what the site looks like now. It'll take just a minute to look, you should be able to click on it. And then if you expand it to once you.
You blew it.
Well, we'll do this one. This is a mock-up. Go ahead. This is a mock-up. And what the government. This is. This is. Keep going.
Yeah, I just.
Sorry, bad eyes, I'm too old. Can you give me the bottom of your people cross? This is the overall tradition site. Yes. Does this work? Can you point to the government center site on there? The government center site, as I was indicating, is right there. It's through the roundabout, through the park. It's straight in line, good visibility. We are moving forward. We got approval from NDOT to install a fully signalized intersection. And we are presently working with consultants on the design of that. With procurement and final approvals, NDOT, we won't have a traffic light there for approximately 1 year, but it'll be there before we occupy this building. We will have all of the road network to the building around the park. We're creating a connection point from Enterprise that will. Can I go over there? Just, do you mind if I just go over the screen? Sure. We worked pretty hard on our circulation patterns. We're going to create this street right here. This project is going for permitting right now, but we're going to connect this street system with traditions from Enterprise, and then that will connect with everything, all of the houses, and it also connects the states of Sutro. So this road network doesn't just handle our 700; it picks up the other 600 homes from Sutro Estates that presently exist. The facility would go right here. We will have all of this road infrastructure here completed by the time the building is done. We have that working on consultants right now to get those civil improvement drawings out to us so they can go out to bid. That's kind of it in a nutshell right now. And as I said, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer this. We're tremendously excited about this project. Potential of it.
Questions? Yeah.
Chairman Hawks, did I hear Mr. Foley refer to this as a lease or is this? Yes, lease to, okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you. I'm excited about this. That this is, and I appreciate all the hard work that you put into this, and I appreciate your willingness to work with the county. This is a much better site. nobody liked the site on Dayton Valley Road. It's got too many issues. And this is a better location. The one question I did have on your video, the flyover, I sure hope there's not going to be that much grass.
No. You know, when you do those videos, sometimes you embellish a little bit too much.
Okay. 'Cause I was gonna have a comment about that, but yeah, I didn't think you would put in that.
I don't
much
have
grass.
enough water rights. For all that crap.
And right. So I'm excited about this and I appreciate you guys working together to bring this forward.
It's gonna be a first class. project.
Beautiful.
First class.
Commissioner Hendricks,
No, I like it.
Commissioner Keller.
Yeah, you commented that you already did the footprint for the architectural's been done. So everything else, I was just curious, is there a commissioner's meeting room or chambers built into that?
Josh Foley, Lyon County Council for the record. So we have currently in the building design, we have a large meeting room that can be used for multi-purpose. Eventually, if needed be, hopefully not, but eventually if need be, it can be converted into a courtroom as well. So we can have 2 courtrooms there. We also have a training center that we have built into the facility for the sheriff's office that potentially could be used for commissioner meetings there as well, or other boards or whatever the case may be. We are evaluating that depending on what happens with our request for Congress for a training center in Silver Springs, in which case the footprint of the building may be slightly modified. We may look at putting some additional pieces in there. There are a handful, now that we're a little bit farther down the road, a handful of other items that we're like, we really should make a couple of small changes, not significant in the building size, but as we're looking at it, and we'll get those refined fairly quickly as well. But in answer to your question, yes, we will see everything.
Thank you.
Any further question?
That's good for the record again. Just a further comment. Working with Josh and Andrew, the site is the pink. The building footprint that we're talking about now is this one right here, with the property large enough to accommodate additional structures that Lyon County may look at in the future. So we have looked at it, just sticking the building on there without the ability to install. And we thought that was essential. And again, through the working of the work we put together, and that's we're providing expansion, but all those roads would be around it. So we're not asking you to do anything outside of it.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller, in regards to that, and I thank you for bringing that up. We have master planned it, the building immediately to the west of what we're proposing. We're anticipating square footage to be able to put a senior center, a larger senior center there in time. Also a 10,000 square foot building for general government purposes, whether that's community developments or some of the other offices of the county. And then if you take a look at that green parcel on there, as long as that's still true, our understanding is we are not purchasing that parcel just to the northwest of our property or our future property. We're not purchasing that at this time, but they've agreed to hold it for us for future purchase if we so choose at some point, so that we can truly make this more of a government area. If we want to add a library or any other buildings in the future, that property would be available for us. Don't know for how long we can guarantee that, but at least that concept is there at this point.
Thank you. Any public comments or questions? I see nothing out there. So 6E, I'm looking for a motion on this.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Traditions Development as the site of the Dayton Government Complex and direct the county manager to negotiate a lease purchase agreement for a developer built building and bring it back to the board, bring it back to a future board meeting for consideration.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Henderson, a second by Commissioner Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now we are Thank you. We are back on the regular agenda, item 14. It is 11:22. I believe we can probably get through this.
Yes, sir.
That's up to the board if they want to take a break or you want to get through it. Okay,
Let's go.
giving you all the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
14A for possible action, appoint a member to the Debt Management Commission as the member at large with a term expiring December 31st, 2024. Commissioner comments on anything there? Public comments? If not, I'll look for a motion
make-
for an appointment.
Chairman Hockley, I'll make a motion that we select Deborah Ewing for the Debt Management Commission as a member at large with the term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobson and second by Commissioner Keller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries for appointment 5-0. For possible action 14B, approve a contract with Paul and mine's faded out here, Cabin.
Okay, Kevin.
Cabin, yeah, mine's, I couldn't see the rest of the letters there. Architect LLC in the amount of $498,900 for design, construction, documents, and assistance in the remodel and expansion of the Fernley Justice Court. Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. Are we on 14B?
14B.
Okay. Been crazy. So we have approval for 2.2 million out of ARPA funds. We've spent a little bit of that for the conceptual design. We are to the point where we're ready to do more than just conceptual design to actually do the documents that we're going to bid the project from. And that costs approximately $498,000 here, which is roughly around 10 to 11% of the project itself. So we're in the, usually you look between 10 to 15% is what you pay for these services. So we do have ARPA funding already allocated to cover this. And so we're just coming back to the board to allow us to move forward with the process.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? Questions from the public? I'll look for a motion.
Chairman Hockley, I'll make a motion to approve a contract with Paul Cavan Architect LLC in the amount of $498,900 for the design, construction documents and assistance in the remodel and expansion of the Fernley Justice Court.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Jacobson and I caught a second from Commissioner Henderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Proceed on with a $500,000 expense. 14C for possible action, approve the allocation of $3,800,000 to the Dayton Sewer Rolling A Expansion Project from the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund.
Josh
Go ahead.
Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. We aren't tribal, but we get lumped into that act with this. So the county over time through October should receive approximately a little over 4.1 million on this. We've already received half of it. And what this allows us to do is to take this funding, which is subject to the Buy American Act. And what we're trying to do between this and the next item is to swap that funding. So we use that money that we have, 3.8 million, towards the Dayton sewer projects and specifically the Rolling A expansion project from this funding, which is required to be Buy American, and then take the 3.8 million on the next item and take it back from the Dayton sewer projects that were allocated under the ARPA funding, which is not subject to Buy American, and use that to complete the funding, hopefully for the Fernley Justice Court complex. So that's all this is to allocate the funding from the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. And then the next item will be just to swap the funding that was already allocated to move it to the Fernley Justice Court project.
Questions? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Using this money that requires the Buy America Act on the Rolling A, is that going to cause any construction delays?
So there will more than likely be construction delays on the Rolling A project due to the Buy American Act, but it's already subject to the Buy American Act because we're using SRF funds for the state.
So no additional.
No
Okay.
changes there for that project.
That was my one concern.
Yes.
Public questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion on 14C.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the allocation of $3,800,000 to the Dayton Sewer Rolling A Expansion Project from the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Keller is a second. So we have a motion by Commissioner Henderson, a second by Commissioner Keller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 14D, the other side of this, and we'll go for approve the reallocation of American Rescue Plan Act funding by decreasing allocations to the Dayton Sewer Project by $3,800,000 and increasing the allocation to the Fernley Justice Court expansion by the same amount. Mr. Foley.
Okay, so with this, I didn't make it specific to the Rolling A because we actually allocated for 3 projects for Dayton Sewer. One of them is the Rib Expansion Project for the effluent disposal. One of them is Lift Station 2A, and one of them is a Rolling A plant. The challenge is as those projects proceed, we're actually using up our bond funding first. And so by the time we get to the point that we need to use any of the ARPA funds, it's all going to be the rolling road. So that's why I just said we're going to allocate previously 3.8 million to the Rolling A. We're going to pull back funding here of 3.8 million from the Dayton Sewer projects, from Lift Station 2A first, and then from the effluent disposal, and then the Rolling A in that order. And then we're going to reallocate that funding to be able to hopefully complete the Fernley Justice Court expansion. We may be $100,000 or $200,000 short on that project by the time we get through all of the costs on the Fernley Justice Court, but we have some time to allocate other funding. That's also part of the reason we talked about a lease purchase for the Dayton Government Center, is we could take some of the existing cash we've saved up for that to complete this project and be able to get into the other building and have the money come in over time as need be. So anyways, a little bit more than just this item, but that'll give you an intent on what we're looking at.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners? Look like it. Questions from the public? Comments? Looks like we're good to go on that one. Motion for 14D.
Chairman Hockley, I'll make a motion that we approve to reallocate the reallocation of American Rescue Plan funding by decreasing the allocations to the Dayton Sewer projects by $3,800,000 and increasing the allocation to the Fernley Justice Court expansion by the same amount.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, a second by Commissioner Henderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 14E for possible action, approve a change order in the amount of $22,556 with Desert Engineering to add additional paving east of the barn at the fairgrounds from the American Rescue Plan Act funding. Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller, for the record, this is one that the facilities director already mentioned to you that they came back with and said, let's just make it ADA compliant all the way through while we're in the middle of this. And we have everything mobilized. We do have sufficient contingency for this. And even if we didn't, as Mr. Homestead's brought up in the past, the other projects at the fairgrounds have been less expensive than was allocated. So there is funding available for this request. So we're recommending that.
Okay, so it appears that it's just a transfer basically of where we were under our estimate, and we're going to go ahead and take care of some additional things, which I totally approve of because of the fact that a lot of the wheelchairs are rolling through gravel and things in that area. So I think it's probably an excellent idea for what's going on.
And I appreciate Mr. Homestead for bringing this forward because I think it's perfect timing for us to look at it.
Super. Commissioner Keller.
What's the timing of that? When are they doing that? Is that in any threat of being flooded or damage to it?
Not significant.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it rains really hard.
Yeah. Well, that's a concern.
This year's
Never's a
little
long
different.
time though. Yeah. Commissioner Jacobson, you had a comment? No? Commissioner Keller? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just want to thank you for being proactive on this. I mean, why we're doing it, why we've got the equipment out there. Let's go ahead and do it. And I appreciate the fact that it makes it ADA compliant all the way out so that everybody can enjoy our fair.
Anything else from the commissioners? No. Anything from the public? Comments, questions? Doesn't look like it, so I'll take a motion on 14C or 14E, I mean.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve a change order in the amount of $22,556 with Desert Engineering to add additional paving east of the barn at the fairgrounds from the American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Keller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Super. It is, wow, 11:32. Future agenda requests. I'm going to start with Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockaday. I would like to invite Bureau of Reclamation to speak on the Fernley Canal progress.
Andrew Haskin for the record. I have invited them in the past. Maybe we'll talk offline on that one.
Commissioner Keller.
No.
Commissioner Hendricks.
In light of the presentation we got today from BLM, and I know I've brought this up before, but I'd like our commission and staff to be looking at if there's anything we need to do to protect ourselves against this huge influx of solar panels that we're going to see in our county.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the first meeting in August, I would like an item on the National Center for Public Lands Counties. I'd like to revisit that.
Anything further? And I have talked to county manager about a couple of resolutions that were sent from White Pine. And what's the other one here? Yeah, Eureka. Dealing with discussions on the Wild Borough and Horse Act. Just basically, we've already discussed a little bit this meeting, but I would like to present these resolutions for our perusal. Anything else on that? Anybody else? If not, we'll move from future agenda requests to last commissioner comments for the day. I will start with Commissioner Hendricks. Commissioner Henderson.
I have none.
Commissioner Keller.
None.
Commissioner Jacobson.
No.
Okay, and the only thing I wanted to say again was thank all the people that have been out there working hard to keep us from flooding all kinds of different areas in Lyon County. And that I know that the Congress is working on a budget, trying to get it passed. And we had discussed this before. We need to make sure that all of our ARPA funds are allocated so they don't get clawed away from us as the statement is going. Just for financial reasons, we certainly don't want to lose any money before it's yanked away from us. That said, we'll go on with the last public participation. No action be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. It's anticipated the public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item. But before the board takes any action afterwards, please print your name at the clerk's desk, which is the podium. Do I have any further public comment from anybody on any item not covered on the agenda? I see nothing. Therefore, we have to look at a closed session today. Any closed session, sir? Yes. Okay, well, we will go into closed session and I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the basic meeting here at 11:36.